If you do not arc, you will not ultra. Now believe in your dreams and whatnot. I don't care, man. Like it's kind of an odd season, guys. Well, welcome to the UltraQuest podcast here on the Morphin Network. I'm Mike, your host. Axel's not here because he's sick. It is what it is. Plus, there was a convention last week in his neck of the woods. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. A lot of people tend to get burnt out after a convention. So it is what it is. I know a lot of people make jokes about, this diamond ship thing's a Rubik's Cube. So, yeah, I'm just going to bring my octahedron with me for no reason whatsoever. I could use my Millennium Puzzle, but I don't know. I'm not feeling my Millennium Puzzle at the moment. But you know what I am feeling? Ultraman Arc, Episode 2, Legend in the Woods. And let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think that Ishida is hiding something? Also, how crazy is that there's two big three tokusatsu with a character named Ishida in the same year? That's kind of weird. That's kind of interesting, don't you think? But yeah, where we last left off, Ishida joins the group as a representative of the Global Defense Force, the GDF. And they seemingly get a crank call from a kid saying, "Hey, there's a kaiju in the woods. You guys gotta help." It's a false alarm, seemingly at first, but the kid's like, "Yeah, my dad's a land developer, and he told me there's a kaiju living in the woods, so I don't get why he's like committing land development, because that might piss off the kaiju." And yeah, he's right. Why would you? But there is a legend that by consuming 108 herbs, or is it 88? I can't remember. I think 108 sounds cooler, but more likely it's just 88. The kaiju long ago was put to sleep. Oh, I know it should have had a brown goo that would destroy all the plant life. And of course, so we have to do further investigation because, as members of the Skip, some super kaiju intelligence personnel, I just made up a name for that. But yeah, no, they have to do their due diligence. If they hear an alarm, they have to investigate. It's called putting in a little faith, which is basically the theme of the episode. Some things just take a little faith, and yeah. Yeah. And of course, the kaiju of the day is the Leodo, and I'm not sure if it looks familiar. Looks very familiar, like some kaiju I've seen in the past, but apparently it's not. It's just very similar to some past kaiju, I guess. Or, I mean, apparently it appeared in Ultra Monster series as a vinyl, but I'm not seeing anything from its history in terms of like it being a full-fledged kaiju in a previous series. So it is what it is. But they find some mysterious pyramids, like something that the Aztec would have. That's crazy, man. We got to investigate this. And what's really interesting is that while the main character is doing his due diligence at an antique shop, he senses a call from a mirror. And of course, it's Kamen Rider Odin telling him that he has to fight 12 other Ultraman in order to make a wish come true. I'm just kidding. It's Ultraman Arc. For some reason, Arc is able to communicate with him through mirrors. No idea how that works. Feels like they're just taking pages out of Ryuki, but it is what it is. But Yeah, but thankfully the antique shop owner does have like the herbs, the pellets in a jar that has all that stuff in there. Oh, and thankfully Ishida managed to commandeer a GDF satellite in order to scan for the kaiju without having to go back to the forest, which I'm thinking, why didn't you do this at the start of the series? Like if you're gonna do a co-op, why are you waiting longer to provide a resource like that? But, and of course, the kid's like, Dad, why are you committing land development? You told me the kaiju might wake up if you destroy the forest. You don't get it, son. We live in Angel Grove, California. Monsters are attacking cities all the time. People are losing their houses. We have to build new houses like, in order to give them new places to live after they've been displaced, which sounds fair if not for the fact that you are pissing off a dormant kaiju, which is only going to repeat the same process all over again. I get where you're coming from. And yes, this raises a lot of controversy from Power Rangers. I get it. But, why are you doing it so counterintuitively? With that in mind, the kaiju does wake up because it turns out that those temple mounds that we saw earlier in the episode were actually the kaiju's feet. Apparently, the whole thing was upside down, and Leoto has a very anteater-like design. Yeah. Snout and yeah, apparently there's some internet issues going on right now, so we are frozen. I don't know how far back the issues occurred, so I'm just gonna repeat myself. We find out that Leoto's feet were the temple mounds, and it's been reawoken. What more can I say? It's like it wakes up because of the exposure to oxygen, and he almost sucks up the little kid, if not for the fact that Arc transforms. Okay. Yeah, so he manages to save the kid in time. They fight each other, and there's this really weird part where we get POV shots of both Arc getting his butt kicked by Leoto and Leoto's point of view of kicking Ultraman's butt. It's weird. And the way they do it too, because it's like kind of goes inside the eye, and then you see this matrix of what I assume is neurons, and then just turns around and you could see like through their eyes like windows. It's so weird. I don't think we I don't I wish that Axel was here just so that he could like provide me with some insight if this happened before, because this is a very interesting um filming choice that they decided to do. But yeah, so freaking UP, like a total goat, like Ubot carries over the what's it called, the jar full of pellets, but he gets sucked up by the kaiju, right? So Ultraman basically yanks out a tracer, tickle, 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 and I'm like, this is the part where I make dirty, rotten scoundrel jokes. It's like, do you feel this? Do you feel that? I will help him if my name isn't Dr. Emil Schaffhausen, the son. Oh, look, he's so happy, he's crying. Oh man, I would love to do a review of that movie. on the a buttery show, but it is what it is. Yeah, so the thing manages to sneeze out U-Bot, and of course Peabody manages to like catch him by going to rover mode. I'm like, you have a rover mode? That is freaking cool, man. So freaking cool. I'm gonna be honest, like out of all the things I saw in this episode, that rover mode is the coolest thing I saw this episode. I'm not trying to hate on the episode as a whole. I'm just saying that, like, hey, this is a really cool buddy roid we got here. Yeah. So what ends up happening is now that U-Bot is free, Ultraman could fight him off with impunity, and they both end up inside this chasm, and the thing like tries to shoot out its brown burning beam, and he fights back using his freaking rainbow blast thing. Oh, and another thing, like earlier on before they end up inside that chasm, like freaking he can summon that sunglass slasher from his face, and then a cube comes out of his head in order to attach itself to his sword. And then he holds the sword up to his face in order to use like a spectra beam. And I'm thinking, why can't you just use it directly? I mean, clearly the power's coming from the cube that's on his sword, but like the cube came from his head anyway. So can he just go like, just do that? It feels so unnecessary to just have the cube come out, attach itself to a sword, and then put the sword back in front of his head when he could have just done it directly. I mean, it's just silly to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, when he uses the sword, like, as an actual sword, it looks pretty cool. But, yeah, no, that beam was just kind of silly because of the unnecessary extra steps they took. But yeah, no, he he shoots out a blue beam while they're both grappling inside that bottomless pit, which causes a rainbow to shoot out into an archway. He just like flies out and then swings around, flies through, and I'm like, at that point, just flying under it to get away just seems kind of redundant. Anyways, our heroes get a thank you letter from the kid. It's like, oh, it only took a little bit of trust. But Ishida's at the site of the kaiju battle, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry I commandeered the satellite, but we got some valuable data, and the readings here are off the charts. That's kind of interesting. So basically, the GDF did not voluntarily provide the satellites to the heroes, and for some reason, they have ulterior motives to find something. Interesting. Let's find out what happens next. This episode, I give it a 9 out of 10. It's not, I mean, it's pretty good for an episode. I definitely like this episode better than the previous one, but I do notice that tonally, it is very much different from Blazar. And I know this season is a lot sillier compared to Blazar, but it just feels kind of weird. And I know that I praised the first half of Rube for being silly, but the thing is, it called for it. With a villain like Aizen and protagonists like Katsumi, like, yeah, like I walked in expecting something silly, but here it's like, it doesn't need to be silly. Like tonally, it could be closer to Blazar. And I mean, I don't know how Decker and Trigger are tonally, but I think the distinction is the fact that when it came to Rube, the main characters weren't part of some science organization. They were just teenagers with attitude. So it kind of had that leeway to be silly. Heck, the original Power Rangers was incredibly silly. Like I hate how people are like taking clips from Disney or Neo Saban or Hasbro, they're like, man, this series is so silly. I missed the original Power Rangers when it was a lot more serious. I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me? Have you not watched the second episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Literally the second episode, high five. Did you forget that human carousel thing that Jason, Zach, and Kimberly turned it into? That was such a weird thing for them to do. Like, god damn it. Like they would have been more effective just separately fighting the putties. And you have the gall to call more recent stuff silly. Power Rangers has always been silly. So, heck, even RPM, where like the season was just like a post-apocalyptic Terminator 4 in not spandex, they still had silly moments. Are we gonna pretend that like that what's his name Smash was just like frightened by his own reflection? Are we gonna pretend that we didn't have like a freaking talent show in the 6th episode? And of course, one of the best lines from that season, Bomberino, Ziggy, don't push your luck. But yeah, no, it's a time and a half. But I think because of the fact that like, oh, Skip is like this scientific organization, it's like it doesn't just leave as much room to be silly like Scarred like how Rube would. I mean, I imagine that there is somewhat of a spectrum between Scarred and Eisentech, and Skip is somewhere in the middle. The question is, where exactly in the middle is it? I guess we're gonna find out. I know that like probably one of the sillier parts is the fact that you got Yuppie being the comic relief character, but honestly, so far Yuppie's the GOAT. Both U-Bot and Peabody, like the whole thing, like that is the GOAT so far. Like, let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are some of your thoughts? Hooray for counterintuitive land development. Exactly. Like, it's like, why are you even gonna build apartments if you know they're gonna be destroyed in 5 minutes? What's with the POV scenes? By the way, very dizzying. I mean, I wouldn't say it's dizzying. I just think it's just really off-putting. Triple OXYZ says, I stand by the Ryuki humor. If you do not Ultra, you will not Arc. Yeah, no, seriously, what is up with the mirror stuff? Can we just call it UP is the MVP of the season so far? Exactly, he is. He's the MVP. Yeah, I mean, I will go with the phrase "the go," but like, yeah, no, he's the MVP thus far because he was there when like to support the team back in like the first episode, and here he is, straight up defeating the monster, bringing it back to sleep. You know. Yeah, that's it for the comments, guys. I imagine a lot of people are really like just drained from the heat right now, like, as far as the northern hemisphere goes, because I know I have been. That's why I'm not super energetic right now, but it is what it is, you know. But I will say this: there's only 40 more days before Power Morphicon. I'm excited for that. Count the dates, get your tickets now. I'll see you guys in person in that time. And of course, the rest of the Morphin Squad's going to be there, as well as our support panelists like Axel, Steve, even our past guests like Miguel. They will also be at the convention, hopefully. I mean, I usually see them all the time at the convention, so hopefully, there's that. If you enjoyed, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Ding the bell icon to stay notified for our latest videos. Be sure to share the video because it helps out with the algorithms, and ding the bell icon so that don't miss a single thing. We do Ultraman Arc on Mondays, Kamen Rider God Chart on Wednesdays, Bakage Sentai Boom Boom on Thursdays, and then on Sundays we finish things off with Kamen Rider 5s. We're halfway through the TV side of things. And then after we do all the TV episodes, we're gonna do the 2 movies because there's 2 movies now, and I can't wait for that. I know some people might be thinking, but what about Kamen Rider Sango GP, whatever it's called, or the Yongo specials? Well, those are more associated with Kamen Rider Drive, so I'd rather cover those then. If conveniently we do Deno before we do Drive, that's just gonna like bring us like to completion when it comes to Kamen Rider Drive, so that's good right there. Yeah, and again, we will be at Power Morphicon August 23rd to the 25th at the Pasadena Convention Center. I am super excited for that because Jungle Fury is my favorite season of Power Rangers, and there's gonna be so many Jungle Fury actors there, heroes, villains, in between. Yes, there's also going to be like most of the Mystic Force cast, so that's going to be cool. And not just like 4 out of the 5 core Rangers. We're going to get, like, we also have Korag and Solaris Knights. So that's 7. That's 7 Rangers out of 8. That's 6 Rangers out of 8. Unfortunately, for obvious reasons, we will never be able to have all 8. But if Chip shows up, then we'll have the full living cast, and that'd be great. Oh yeah, and Chris Graham, like, if you want to get both versions of Korag, I don't know if he's been announced yet. It'd be funny if he ends up being announced tomorrow. But the point is, we got a massive cast for both Mystic Force and Jungle Fury. So those are things I'm excited for. I love the Disney era of Power Rangers. They're fantastic. And of course, you could check out our sister channel, The Buttery Show, where we do various movie reviews. Last week, we did Pump Up the Volume. Tomorrow, we are going to be doing A Family Torn Apart, starring Neil Patrick Harris and John Galecki. The movie came out in 1993. It's based on a novel, based on true events. I could not find a copy of the novel, so unfortunately, I will not be as comprehensive as I was with Ghost Rider or Scanner Darkly or what was that other thing? Or Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, because, well, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels wasn't based on a book, but I did watch all 3 versions of the movies, so I am that anal about my movie reviews. But unfortunately, this movie in particular, I just could not find the book it's based on. I'm sorry, guys. I tried. I really tried. And of course, if you want to follow my personal content, you could find me on Instagram at Boken_Kabuto and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. Well, that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay hydrated, update your emergency kits on your loved ones, and make sure you have a safe rest of your week. Hope it's full of fun and adventure and protection from the cruel sun of the summer. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, from the cruel winter. Yeah, so until next time, I'll see you guys. Have a great one. Bye.